Hello friends, I hope you are having a nice day today. So today we are going to read carbohydrate. So this is very important concept when you think for USMLE, NEET PG, PLAB, anything. Carbohydrate is a basic and one of the most important topic for these competitive exams. So when you hear the word carbohydrate, first came to your mind. What do you think? What carbohydrate is? So you can see the word carbohydrate has two parts. So you can see literally it can be divided into two parts: carbo and hydrate. The word carbo is came from the word carbon, and hydrate means water or H2O. So basically or chemically, as a general idea, you can say that carbohydrates are those compounds composed of carbon and hydrogen. And basically it is the general formula of carbohydrate is CnH2O whole n. What does this mean? Means it has carbon and water in multiple number of, suppose glucose, C6 or any other thing, H12 6. It's a carbohydrate because you can divide it into CH2O whole 6, C6H2O whole 6. So you can see that this is carbohydrate. Like this way we can study of carbohydrate. So now we are going to study. So if you review carbohydrate biochemically, then what can we say? Carbohydrates are aldehyde or ketone derivative of higher polyhydric alcohol, or the compound which yield this derivative on hydrolysis. So point to be noted, it is an aldehyde or a ketone derivative, not both, aldehyde or a ketone derivative of what? Higher polyhydric alcohol, or the compound which yield this derivative on hydrolysis. So this is the basic definition. Now if you goes to understand the definition, what does it mean by aldehyde or ketone? This is a aldehyde group, CHO, and CO, it's a ketone group. So any compound having this or this, that is aldehyde or ketone derivative of higher here we refer to more than 3, because to form carbohydrate you need at least 3 or more than 3 alcohol groups. Polyhydric alcohol, poly means many, alcohol is OH group. Or it can be the substance which are not generally representing the features of carbohydrate. I mean to say that it does not look like a carbohydrate, but upon hydrolysis it yields a carbohydrate. So those are all the compounds which you can say as carbohydrate. So it's an aldehyde or ketone derivative of higher polyhydric alcohol, or the compound which yield this derivative on hydrolysis. Now as we discussed, its general formula is CnH2O whole. Now carbohydrate has a OH group in it, because in the definition only you can see higher polyhydric alcohol, higher polyhydric alcohol. So the OH group is from your school chemistry, is polar, has tendency to bind phosphate, and we use the suffix "ol" for any alcohol. So for example, alcohol, glycerol, cholesterol, anything, we all can say they are filtered. So in a carbohydrate, the number of alcohol group is total number of carbon minus 1. Say for glucose has 6 carbon, and the number of alcohol group it will have 5 OH group. This is a basic. You can, if you read this, you can I think ace in the exams. Now the functional group of carbohydrate can be either aldehyde or ketone. What is aldehyde group? Aldehyde group is a group which have CHO group, and ketone is CO group. The aldehyde group is always present at carbon 1, and ketone group is present at carbon 2. This is related to chemistry. I can make one. So suppose this is a carbon structure. Aldehyde group is a terminal group. So you have to begin the counting from here. मतलब तुम्हें काउंटिंग स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा पहला कार्बन से. यू शुड स्टार्ट द काउंटिंग फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट कार्बन, एंड द फर्स्ट कार्बन विल ऑब्वियसली फ्रॉम द aldehyde group. And if it is a ketone group, ketones are a bit different, in the sense they are actually same to the aldehyde, but the main difference is ketones are not terminal, they are present within. Suppose this is a carbon ring is going on, and here we have a oxygen, which is double bonded to carbon. This total group is called ketone group. So you can see this is a ketone group. Now to number a ketone group, as per the general chemistry rule, you should start numbering from the terminal position or the positions which have the ketone group at the earliest. I mean to say that if you number the ketone group from here 1 2 3 4, and if you number it from here 1 2 3 4, this numbering is correct. Why it is correct? Because here the ketone group get number 2 position, and here the number ketone group get number 3 position, and as per the rule of chemistry you should have the ketone group at the lowest possible position. Now we will study isomerism in carbohydrates. Isomerism related to carbohydrates. So what is isomer? Isomers are the compounds having same molecular formula but different structural formula. You should understand it. The compounds having same molecular formula but different structure from basic school level chemistry. Now isomerism can be of two types: structural isomerism and optical isomerism. Here in case of carbohydrates, we are considering only these two types of isomerism. Rest also are not important from the exam point of view. So functional isomerism, enantiomer, epimer, anomer. These four kinds of isomerism in structural part of isomerism is visible in carbohydrate. Now what is functional isomerism? Have same molecular formula but they differ in the functional group. They have the same molecular formula but differ in the functional group. So as per the definition of carbohydrate, you only have learned the definition of carbohydrate, that it is an aldehyde or ketone derivative of higher polyhydric alcohol. मतलब aldehyde और ketone derivative किसका? Higher polyhydric alcohol का, either aldehyde or ketone. So from the definition itself, we can see that there is chance of two types of isomerism here. That one can be aldehyde group, another can be ketone group. And the very basic things you can visible in our basics like glucose and fructose. Both are exactly same. They have both exactly same formula, glucose and fructose, but they only differ, only differ in an aldehyde group or in a keto group in general structure. So you can see that this is a aldehyde group. See, this is a terminal position, carbon number 1. Carbon number 1 has attached to hydrogen. So this is the aldehyde group, and you see this is not a terminal position. This is a second position is referred to as, and here we have a keto group. So you can see this example is true for glucose and fructose. Also glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone also exhibit functional group isomerism. Now what is enantiomer? For same molecular formula but different in hydrogen and hydroxyl group orientation around the penultimate carbon और the second last carbon. मतलब इसमें क्या है कि मॉलिकुलर फार्मूला जो है वो दोनों का ही सेम होगा, पर हाइड्रोजन और हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप का जो ओरिएंटेशन है सेकेंड लास्ट कार्बन, सेकेंड. सो इफ यू सी इन ग्लूकोज एंड फ्रुक्टोज व्हिच इज द सेकेंड लास्ट कार्बन, कैन यू आइडेंटिफाई? दिस इज द लास्ट कार्बन, this is the second last carbon, this is the last carbon, this is the second last carbon. Differ in the hydrogen and hydroxyl group orientation around the second last carbon. And examples of such kind of isomerism is D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde, D-glucose and L-glucose. See, this is the second last carbon, this is the last carbon, this is the second last carbon. No? The second last carbon in D-glucose has OH on the right side. D means right side. And L-glucose it has on the left side. L means left side. In our body, carbohydrate is abundant and mostly in D form. But amino acid, which are also found in our body, also exhibit D and L types of isomerism, which we can call as enantiomer, are abundant in L form. But amino acid is also present in L form. But the abundant form is L form, but amino acid is present in both D and L form. Now epimer, another type of structural isomerism. In this we also have the same molecular formula but different in H and OH orientation, hydrogen and hydroxyl orientation only at one carbon other than the penultimate carbon. So what is the main difference between epimer and enantiomer? Enantiomer have a difference in the H and OH group in the penultimate carbon. In which carbon? Penultimate carbon. But in epimer we have difference can be in any carbon other than the penultimate carbon. For example, D-glucose and D-mannose, we will study the structure of the both. They have difference at carbon 2. We have difference between them at carbon 2. So see, this is the structure of D-glucose. You can see I have numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around the carbon, and you also see the structure of D-mannose. See, this is the second carbon, this is the second carbon, and D-mannose. This is the penultimate carbon, carbon number 5. This is the penultimate carbon, second last carbon. This is the last carbon, carbon number 6, carbon number 5. This is the penultimate carbon. Here you see the OH is on the right side, here too OH is on the right side. So it cannot be enantiomer because they have same orientation. But when you see to other carbon, you come to carbon number 2. We see the OH on the D-glucose is on the right side, whereas the OH on the D-mannose is on the left side. So from here we can conclude that this is a epimer. Why epimer? Because it has the difference in position at second carbon other than the penultimate carbon. Now D-glucose, we can also compare D-glucose and D-galactose. See, here also same, the penultimate carbon has OH on the right side, but carbon number 4 has OH on the left side. Here carbon number 4 has OH on the right side. So they are epimers. So epimers are the compound having same molecular formula but differ in hydroxyl group and hydrogen ion orientation only around one carbon other than the penultimate carbon. Now we come to epimer. Done. Now we come to anomer. Anomer is also one type of structural isomerism in which difference in H and orientation around functional carbon. Generally we see when you convert into a linear structure into a cyclic structure. See, if you see, this is the structure of a glucose. So this is the structure of a glucose. You see the penultimate carbon is binded to the first carbon, that is the aldehyde carbon, that is the functional group carbon, and it tries to produce a ring, and here it produces this ring. So this becomes a ring-like structure. This is called anomer. The second last carbon and the functional group combine to form the ring. Now the cyclic structure can be of two types, a pyranose and a furanose. Pyranose is a 6-member ring. The number of carbon in the ring is 5. This is a oxygen. This is a oxygen. We start numbering of the carbon from here. It's 1 carbon, it's 2nd carbon, it's 3rd carbon, it's 4th carbon, it's 5th carbon. And you see the 6th carbon is outside the ring. So in case of pyranose, we have 6-member ring, but 1 member of the ring is occupied by oxygen. And the last carbon will not be in the ring, it will be the outside of the ring. In case of furanose, we have 5-member ring. You can see here the oxygen is one of the member of the ring. The ring is not totally saturated with carbon. Oxygen is consists of the ring, and carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5, carbon 6. There are 6 carbons. And you see carbon number 6 is outside the ring, that too for carbon number 1. The ring has carbon number 2, 3, 4 and 5. The ring of carbon number 1 and carbon number 6 are outside the ring. Glucose in 99% of the anomer exists in pyranose form, and fructose exists in furanose form. Hexose generally exists in both pyranose and furanose, but pentose can only exist in furanose structure because they have 1 carbon less. Glucose, fructose, all are hexose. Pentose is 1 carbon less. So how can they be in a 6-member ring? So they are always in a 5-member ring. Now we will study optical isomerism. It is another type of optimerism. So the concept of optical isomerism came like this: when we pass a plain polarized light through a solution, the solution has the property to either deviate the light towards the right or towards the left. If it deviates towards the right, then it's called as dextrorotatory, represented by small d and a plus sign. And if it's a levorotatory, we can represent it by small l and negative sign. Glucose is dextrorotatory, fructose is levorotatory. And a very important MCQ coming up here: levorotatory of fructose is greater than dextrorotatory of glucose. Now can you tell me a disaccharide or a sugar that is formed of both glucose and fructose? Yes, you are correct. Sucrose is the answer. So in case of sucrose, we have both glucose and fructose. And you see, fructose is levorotatory minus L, glucose is dextrorotatory plus D. But levorotatory of fructose is greater than the dextrorotatory of glucose. So we call it an invert sugar. This is an important concept, and many questions in exam came from this, mainly in professional exam and also in NEET PG. Racemic mixture, a mixture which has equal amount of D and L. It has no optical property because both are compensated. Now, classification of carbohydrates. So, we can classify carbohydrates into 4 categories: monosaccharide, disaccharide, oligosaccharide, polysaccharide. What are monosaccharide? They have number of carbon equals to 1. Disaccharide, carbohydrate units equals to 2. Oligosaccharide 3 to 10 greater than 10. Now, monosaccharide. The carbohydrate which cannot be hydrolyzed to simple sugar are called as monosaccharide. So, why are we calling it a monosaccharide? Have you ever thought of the question mono and saccharide too? So, earlier the concept of carbohydrate did not develop fully. Then scientists thought of giving a name of monosaccharide. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. Carbohydrate were earlier thought or called to be sugar. So mono, one saccharide or one sugar. The carbohydrate which cannot be hydrolyzed to simple sugar are called as monosaccharide. The latest acceptable definition of monosaccharide is the carbohydrate which cannot be hydrolyzed to simple sugar. Now here came the question, why we use the word hydrolyzed? Why we cannot write broken down? You must not write the word broken down, but you should write hydrolyzed. Why hydrolyzed? Because if you hydrolyze glucose, you cannot yield a further thing. But we have seen glycolysis. You remember glycolysis? I will teach you in next video. But from your basic knowledge, you see in glycolysis we broke down glucose into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. So glucose can be broken down into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. But these are not carbohydrate. These are not carbohydrate. That's all. That's the reason we cannot use the term broken down and we have to use the term hydrolyzed. The compound which cannot be hydrolyzed to simple sugar, and the term simple sugar is also important because dihydroxyacetone phosphate is not a sugar. If you break glucose into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, both are not a sugar. So we can classify monosaccharide according to the number of carbon atoms. See, don't confuse. Monosaccharide means you have sugar equals to 1, but carbon can be many. You don't have carbon to be 1. You have number of sugar equals to 1, but carbon equals to many. So according to number of carbon atom, you can be triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose, heptose. Triose have 3 carbon, tetrose 4, pentose 5, hexose 6, heptose 7. And according to functional group, you can be aldose or ketose. We just now taught aldehyde and ketone isomerism, that is functional group isomerism, and you can see glucose can be fructose, ribose can be ribulose, glucose can be dihydroxyacetone, erythrose can be erythrulose, heptose can be pseudoheptulose. Now the reactions of monosaccharide. Monosaccharide exhibit oxidation. You know that it is a aldehyde or ketone group. Aldehyde or ketone upon oxidation yield acid, carboxylic acid, and upon reduction yield alcohol. You should know this from your basic school life chemistry. So oxidation forms acid. Carbon 1, if you oxidize a carbohydrate at position 1, that is the aldehyde carbon, it forms aldonic acid. And if it is oxidized at carbon number 6, it forms uronic acid. Example, glucose oxidized from gluconic acid at carbon number 1, and the same glucose oxidized from glucuronic acid at carbon number 6. Reactions I told you, reduction, it forms alcohol, but the alcohol is hygroscopic in nature. Alcohols have the property to absorb moisture. You may have seen that the alcohol kept in your lab absorb water, so it is tightly kept in a well environment so that it cannot absorb water in your lab. And when alcohol is present in a cell in high amount, it's called cell swelling because it absorbs water, and due to osmosis the cell swell. Now if you reduce glucose, it can form sorbitol or polyol. Mannose also can form mannitol. Galactose can form galactitol. Now this is important because galactitol, it is important for cataract. This occurs in cataract in adults. I will teach you in later the cataract concept, but to just say, I can just describe how what happens in cataract. In cataract formation, you have a hereditary problem in metabolism of galactose. The galactose metabolism comes to the same pathway as that of the glucose, but at a certain point, the both glycolysis pathway and the galactose metabolism pathway interact. I mean to say meet. But in hereditary galactose metabolism problem, what happens? The galactose cannot be, I mean to say, metabolized. So what happens? It is reduced and from galactitol. This galactitol accumulates in our cornea. Eyes. It's hygroscopic. It attracts water, and when it attracts water, what happens? It swells, and as it swells, we begins to tend to see leaves. This is the principle of cataract. Now, one very important concept you should remember, that all monosaccharides are reducing sugar as their functional group is free. See, in disaccharide, suppose sucrose, you have glucose plus fructose. The glucose and fructose are binded at a position. So, the position, it is the position of their functional group. So, their functional group is not free. But reducing sugar has their functional group free. That means to say that some disaccharide and all monosaccharide have their functional group free. And when their functional group is free, they can be reduced by Tollens reagent, Fellings reagent, Benedict reagent, and all. They are called reducing sugar. Now disaccharide. What are disaccharide? This Al2 monosaccharide unit on hydrolysis. For example, maltose yields 2 molecules of glucose. Isomaltose also same. But what is the difference? They are the difference between the branching position. One is alpha 1,4 and another one is alpha 1,6. Sucrose yields glucose plus fructose, and lactose yields glucose plus galactose. Some are reducing sugar, some are non-reducing sugar. Reducing are maltose and lactose, non-reducing are sucrose and trehalose. You should remember it. Complete gross memorization, nothing else. Oligosaccharide yield 3 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. Example as ribose, maltose, raffinose, rhamnose, etc. Now dietary carbohydrate are monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide. This is an exam question. Just for that I have pasted here. Glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose, lactose, starch, cellulose, and glycose. Now biomedical importance of glucose. Glucose is the major fuel for the tissue. It's a ready-made source of energy. You get about 4.1 kilocalorie per gram per glucose. It is the only source for brain, RBC, and fetus. Brain can also have ketone body in starving condition, but RBC, that RBC don't have mitochondria in anything. It's only a cell without much apparatus. So it can only metabolize glycolysis by anaerobic pathway. It also don't have mitochondria for TCA cycle or oxidation. So RBCs are the most tissues that require glucose. That's why you have the body present a pathway called gluconeogenesis to supply the RBC. Because without supplying the RBC, you are not going to live. Because RBC need foods, and the food can only intake from glucose. Fetus. In pregnant woman, fetus gets the food from mother. It can be readily converted to other carbohydrate. Glucose can be easily converted to other forms of carbohydrate. Glucose appears in urine in diabetes mellitus, owing to raised blood glucose. But this is not always true. You can also have glucose in urine due to increase of renal throughput. That's a different thing. Fructose gives energy to the sperm. Hereditary fructose intolerance leads to fructose accumulation and hypoglycemia. Now galactose, it is the milk sugar. It's make lactose of milk. Failure of galactose metabolism leads to cataract and galactosemia. Disaccharide has examples of lactose. Lactose is milk sugar. Lactose intolerance leads to lactase enzyme deficiency, and sucrose intolerance is due to sucrase enzyme deficiency. Oligosaccharide like antibody and clotting factor and peptide containing oligosaccharide. Example. Now, homo and heteropolysaccharide. Starch is the major source of energy. Glycogen is the storage form of energy. Glycoprotein and glycolipid, a structural component of cell membrane. Heteropolysaccharide. Hyaluronic acid acts as shock absorber and lubricant. It promotes wound healing. Heparin acts as anticoagulant. Keratin sulfate keeps cornea transparent. These are some of the functions of heteropolysaccharide. Now, importance, pentose with their biomedical importance. You should learn this because this is a prof question, and many times the professional exam professor love to the importance of biomedical. Now I am coming to glycosidic bond. Carbohydrates are joined together by glycosidic bonds. So glycosidic bonds need to be present in disaccharide, oligosaccharide, polysaccharide, but not in monosaccharide, because monosaccharide have only one carbohydrate. So anything having more than one carbohydrate like disaccharide, oligosaccharide have glycosidic bond. The bond formed by condensation between hydroxyl group of anomeric carbon of monosaccharide. Hydroxyl group of anomeric carbon of monosaccharide. Say for example, this is a glucose, this is another glucose. See here OH and here H. The H and OH get removed, and what H plus OH forms? Water. So H2O get removed, and the OH and the OH of here, both OH becomes linked to the hydrogen is removed, and this becomes a double bond. And this forms the glycosidic bond. So COC bond, it's the glycosidic bond in carbohydrate. Muter rotation, change of specific optical rotation representing the interconversion of alpha and beta form of D-glucose to an equilibrium mixture. Tough, since tough, I hope yes. So what is muter rotation? It is a change of specific rotation representing intraconversion of alpha and beta form of D-glucose. So what are alpha and beta form? Alpha and beta form are anomer. So if you break D-glucose by water, hydrolyze it, you create a beta pyranose, which is about 64% of the solution, and alpha pyranose, which is about 36%. Here you see the hydroxyl group is below and the hydroxy group is above. Alpha carbon, alpha glucose, beta glucose. This is just like a D-glucose solution break down into two, alpha and beta. That is having the anomeric carbon or the carboxyl carbon having the OH group one above, one down. You can say it simply. Now reducing sugar, the sugar which processes free aldehyde or ketone group and has the ability to reduce tollings, phthalate, reagent are called reducing sugar. In the glucose fructose gas. Sucrose is not a reducing sugar. Why? Because sucrose breaks down into alpha glucose and beta fructose. They are held together by glycosidic bond between carbon 1 of alpha glucose and carbon 2 of beta fructose. The reducing groups are involved in glycosidic bond, so they are functional group is not free. So when their functional group is not free, it cannot reduce any of the reagent, tolling, Benedict or Felix. So it is called a non-reducing sugar. Now polysaccharide. These are the carbohydrates which yield more than 10 molecules of monosaccharide on hydrolysis. More than 10. Okay. They can be homopolysaccharide or heteropolysaccharide. What is homopolysaccharide? They have the same monosaccharide unit, and heteropolysaccharide will have the different monosaccharide unit. Example of homopolysaccharide includes starch. Its source is cereals, potatoes and legumes. It consists of two things, amylose and amylopectin. What is amylose? Amylose is an unbranched structure. What do you mean by unbranched? It's a linear straight structure like this. And what is branch structure? Branch means like this. See, the carbon structure is running, and at some position it's branched and also run, and here something may be branched, another running, here going on. It's branched. Amylose is water soluble, amylopectin is water insoluble. Amylose has alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Amylopectin, here these carbon bond, that is bond in the non-branching point, have alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage, and bonds at the branching point, here you have alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. It is the carbohydrate reserve in plant. Now glycogen, it is the carbohydrate reserve in animal, so it is liver and muscle glycogen. In plant, the plant which do not produce chlorophyll, which have glycogen. They are highly branched. That means the structure is highly branched, non-reducing, soluble in water. See, amylopectin is water insoluble, but glycogen is water soluble. The only difference between amylopectin and glycogen is this, except amylopectin and glycogen are almost same. Linkage alpha 1 4 at chain, alpha 1 6 is branching point. Function, it's liver glycogen and muscle glycogen. It's about 100 gram and 400 gram. During hypoglycemia, it forms glucose, serves as fuel reserve during intense immediate fasting. Fuel reserve for ATP synthesis during muscle contraction, do not play a role in maintenance of blood glucose. These are the function of glycogen. Now dextrine. Dextrine is a very important compound. You know why? Because when you have hypovolemia, that is you don't have enough volume in your body, that is you may have blood loss or any fluid loss in your body, then you are injected dextrine. What does dextrine do? It is a highly branched structure, and when you inject it, it's used as plasma volume extender. Inulin has beta fructose, used for measuring glomerular filtration rate. It's a prebiotic, means food for bacteria. Cellulose is a beta glucose unit, has alpha 1 bond. Due to absence of hydrolysis, we cannot digest it. Now, importance, it increases the bulk of the stool, stimulates cellulose does not digest, so it retains the water. It increases the bulk of the stool. As it increases the bulk of the stool bulk increase, so peristalsis increase, so defecation increase. It decreases the absorption of glucose, so helps patient with diabetes mellitus. Also decrease the absorption of cholesterol, so helps patient with genetic history of hyperlipidemia or normal hyperlipidemia or dyslipidemia, so it helps in obesity. Now, heteropolysaccharide consists of GAG. What is GAG? Glycosaminoglycan or mucopolysaccharide are complex carbohydrate containing amino sugar and uronic acid. See, this is a amino sugar. AS I represent it as amino sugar, and UA I represent it as uronic acid. This one unit is joined to another such unit continue. This is called a glycosaminoglycan. The beginning has amino sugar and this has ending. Each of them is called tandem. So it has tandem repeats. All GAGs combine to form proteoglycan. What is proteoglycan? Proteoglycan has carbohydrate greater than protein. The next part, that is the second portion of the name, has the greater position. In glycoprotein, you have protein greater than carbohydrate. In proteoglycan, carbohydrate is always a heteropolysaccharide. In glycoprotein, carbohydrate is never a polysaccharide. Examples of GAG is hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, keratin sulfate, heparin sulfate. These are the functions of the specific GAGs. I mentioned it here. You should remember it because this is asked in the exams. I hope you like it.